Kia ora koutou. Welcome to the Zoom event, Timor-Leste in the World Today, hosted by the New Zealand Institute of International Affairs, Wellington branch. My name is Kareem Dickey and I am the chair of the Wellington branch. Founded in 1934 by former Prime Minister Walter Nash, the NZIIA is a non-partisan, non-government organisation which provides an independent platform on international affairs and their impact on New Zealand. Tonight we are honoured to be hosting Her Excellency Ms Adaljiza Magno, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Timor-Leste. In 2001, she was elected as a member of the Constituent Assembly in Timor-Leste at the age of 25, and 4 years later she was appointed as the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation. Ms Magno is also a former ambassador to Singapore. In addition to her political role, Ms Magno has worked in the areas of human rights, democracy, women's leadership and good governance. In 2013, she successfully concluded her master's degree in public management from Victoria University of Wellington. She has worked closely with the New Zealand Embassy on WTO, accession and women in leadership issues. She is also an honorary advisor to the Asia New Zealand Foundation. In June 2020, Ms Magno was appointed Timor-Leste's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation. Following her address, we'll open it up for questions. Please feel free to post any questions you may have using the chat function. As this is an open meeting, as a courtesy to the speaker, just a reminder to attendees to ensure that their microphone stays muted. E te rangatira I Adaljiza tēnā koe, no mai piki mai, hari mai ki Aotearoa. Distinguished guest Adaljiza, I formally greet you. We welcome you. We greet you virtually to Aotearoa, New Zealand. Welcome.
Thank you, Kareem.
Great to connect with you tonight. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, such an honor to join the virtual meeting that organized by the New Zealand Institute of International Affairs. Very happy I can connect again with you. Did you hear me? Hello?
Hello, I can hear you now.
Okay. So you wish me to start straight away with my speech?
That would be excellent. And then if we open it up for some questions at the conclusion, that would be excellent.
Okay. I will start then. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to Mr. Kareem Dickey, the Deputy Chair of the New Zealand Institute of International Affairs, Wellington branch, and all the organizers of this important event for inviting me to share with you some information on the current situation of my country, Timor-Leste. Taking this opportunity, I also would like to express my profound gratitude for the continuous sympathy and solidarity of our friends, the people of New Zealand, the government, and particularly the New Zealand Institute of International Affairs, Wellington branch. It was under such a wave of sympathy and solidarity that Timor-Leste emerged as the youngest nation of the third millennium. It is always gratifying for us to know that the commitment for Timor-Leste is still ongoing, and this event is a perfect proof. So once again, in the name of the Timorese people, I convey our great appreciation for demonstrating your genuine sympathy and solidarity by keeping Timor-Leste in the global spotlight. It is my honor as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste to represent my government and my people here today at this virtual meeting, and I hope the information that I'm going to share, as well as the subsequent discussion on issues related to my country, will be really informative to the audience at this event. As for Timor-Leste, the discussion during this meeting will be very precious and highly appreciated by the Timorese, since it will help us to know better our realities as well as to understand better the world of today. So the discussion today definitely will constitute a motivation factor for us to move forward and meet our enormous challenges with more confidence in today's constantly changing world. The topic that has been proposed for our discussion in virtual meeting is Timor-Leste in the world today. So let me divide my remarks on this topic into three parts. In the first part, I would like to briefly introduce Timor-Leste and then bring the audience back to the point where Timor-Leste regained its dignity as people and nation, as well as the challenges it confronted as a newborn country, and then, if possible, I would like to share some of the experiences that Timor-Leste gained during its initial stages of the process of reconstruction and its efforts to fully reintegrating itself in the society of nations. The second part of my remark will cover the global situation, including the situation in the ASEAN Pacific region, where Timor-Leste is incorporated in. And the last part of my statement will be about my views on how Timor-Leste, as a small country, is going to adjust constantly itself with the dynamism of new reality in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, despite of being just a half of tiny island, Timor-Leste is a multi-ethnic and multicultural country with various languages and dialects, with different customs and traditions. Timorese faces are Malay, Indian, European, Chinese, Melanesian, and every possible combination thereof. This reality has conditioned us to consent the differences in life in a tolerant and harmonious way. So the Timorese are accustomed to live with the diversity of all aspects of their life, including food and lifestyle of different ethnic groups. The pluralistic cultural values is one of Timor-Leste's uniqueness that reflects diversity, mutual respect, cordial interconnection, fraternity, solidarity, and interdependence. These are the characteristics that will serve as a foundation for the establishment of a relationship with other people and nations around the world. Timor-Leste celebrated last year the 20th anniversary of the popular consultation sponsored by the United Nations that was held in 1999. It was a golden opportunity for Timorese people to exercise their right to self-determination and independence, rights that were neglected by many for more than 2 decades. It was the most crucial moment, a moment where the people of Timor-Leste reached the gate of freedom to regain its dignity as people and nation. It was through that popular ballot, one of the essential aspects of democracy, that Timor-Leste emerged as the newest sovereign state of the new millennium. As you all know, Timor-Leste is just a teenager country. 18 years have now gone by since the historical day of the transference of power from the United Nations Transitional Administration of Timor-Leste, UNTAED, to the first democratically elected government of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste in May 20, 2002. The transference of power from UNTAED to the new democratically elected government of Timor-Leste implies not only transference of responsibilities, but also transference of a series of unsolved problems in political, social, and economic domains. These problems are some of the most common characteristics of new independent countries. After a dread of conflict, and Timor-Leste is not an exception. Although great strides have been made in establishing democratic institutions and in laying the foundation of a state based on the rule of law, our path ahead is still fraught with many challenges. After fighting against foreign domination for almost 500 years, Timor-Leste eventually regained its right to self-determination and independence. The most difficult and horrendous one was the fight against Indonesian occupation during 24 years. Approximately 1/3 of the population was decimated, and even worse, before its withdrawal in 1999, Indonesian military obliterated practically all the existing infrastructures of the country. Consequently, as the newest independent country of the third millennium, with practically all the infrastructure destroyed, Timor-Leste was confronted with many of the most challenging problems of underdevelopment in the process of its reconstruction. We are a people rebuilding a nation with little or virtually no experience in governing and administration, rebuilding a country with no previous system to fall back on. We literally had to build our country from scratch, and therefore the reality in Timor-Leste suggests that we adopted a different approach to that of previous reconstruction efforts in other countries such as Germany, Japan, or Korea after the destruction imposed by war. Indeed, we are delighted that the experiences under foreign domination and of painful military occupation during more than 2 decades has been brought to an end, but it left far-reaching consequences of war behind, including the culture of violence. So the birth of Timor-Leste as a new country was very painful. The culture of violence imposed by Indonesian military regime during 24 years of occupation was a difficult and complex task for its eradication. It was one of the most notable hardness in the process of nation building and state building. Nonetheless, the awareness among the Timorese people and its leaders concerning the importance of getting rid of the culture of violence was a decisive step towards reconstruction of Timor-Leste. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to underline some of the facts of our past that had contributed to the perception of external and internal threats that had raised the awareness of the Timorese leaders on the importance of peace and stability for Timor-Leste's initial stages of reconstruction process and the measures taken to answer those threats. During the transitional period and in its first year of independence, Timor-Leste suffered constant incursions of militias along the land border with Indonesia. It was believed that some Indonesian military sectors whose reputation was psychologically affected due to the loss of war in Timor-Leste, were hardly accepting the new reality. The independence of accepting the new reality, the independence of the territory. This fact led to an obstruction of two possible reasons of provoking instability in the border area, serving militias as the key factor of instruction in the territory. Firstly, a constant instability provoked by the incursion was probably expected to hinder the development of the country so as to justify the thesis that an independent Timor-Leste is economically unviable and politically unstable, which could be a serious threat for economic development and stability in the region. Secondly, Indonesia might want to prove and send indirect messages to the separatist movement in Indonesia that they would have the same fate as Timor-Leste if they tried to break away from the unitary Republic of Indonesia. Facing such circumstances and challenges of security and stability, some decisive measures had been taken. Timor-Leste started implementing the policy of reconciliation, harmonization, and normalization, first among the Timorese themselves and afterwards with the former occupied Indonesia. Guided by a clear perception that Timor-Leste should not be built on the basis of the hatred and revenge, our leaders promote the policy of reconciliation and forgiveness. Soon after our independence, for the reconciliation among Timorese, a Commission for Truth and Reconciliation, known as CRDR, was established that involved an extensive period of dialogue and listening as we sought to identify and address the underlying causes of conflict in our country. So, during this process, each citizen had proven their ability to forgive and to play the central role in transforming a situation of hatred and revenge into a situation of peace and harmony. Meanwhile, Timor-Leste keeps on exploring avenues of common interest on the issue of security and to establish a sound relationship with Indonesia. Within this context, Timor-Leste leaders took some decisive measures, such as meeting with Indonesian authorities and leaders of militia, as well as promoting a series of reconciliation meetings and dialogue between the refugees and the local communities along the border with Indonesia, in an attempt to convince the refugees to return to Timor-Leste. Most of the refugees returned to Timor-Leste, but some prefer to stay in West Timor as Indonesian citizens. Furthermore, the establishment of Commission of Truth and Friendship, CTF, by Timor-Leste and Indonesia was a remarkable achievement in terms of reconciliation, normalization, and cooperation between the two countries that were involved in decades of army conflict. The main task of the CTF was to reveal the truth on issues related to the 1999 event, especially to document what had happened during that conflict and to give our people the opportunity to have their voices heard. It is in the interest of the two countries, Indonesia and Timor-Leste, to maintain stability and security so as to enable development in all aspects. As a direct consequence of the implementation of the policy of reconciliation, the two countries succeed in dissipating tensions and fostering trust in the future for the well-being of the two peoples. Indonesia and Timor-Leste have been enjoying a healthy and excellent relationship both at the government level and in people-to-people relations. This reality has also created favorable conditions for genuine dialogue for finding solutions to various problems that affect the two countries, as well as generate positive conditions for the most dynamic and glowing bilateral cooperation in all aspects, especially economic and trade activities are the most vigorous ones. Since both countries are really committed themselves for peace and harmony in the region and through genuine dialogue and peaceful negotiation, 98% of the land border issue had been solved. Moreover, Indonesia was, in fact, the first country to endorse Timor-Leste's inclusion in ASEAN. Ladies and gentlemen, geographically, Timor-Leste is part of Southeast Asia. In its efforts to fully reintegrate itself in the community of nations, obviously, Timor-Leste will have to harmonize its national interests with its immediate neighbors, Indonesia and Australia, as well as with ASEAN neighbors in particular and the region in general. Timor-Leste is fully aware that its future depends on its creative effort of successfully assuring its regional integration and actively fostering friendly and productive relations with all countries in the world. Without international connectivity, Timor-Leste simply cannot progress and prosper. Driven by the above viewpoint, Timor-Leste submitted its formal request of ASEAN membership in March 4, 2011, as part of pursuing vigorously its objectives of reintegrating itself in the Society of Nations by being an integral part of this community of nations, ASEAN, that now constitutes one of the most dynamic, peaceful, secure, and prosperous regions in this part of the globe. Hence, joining ASEAN is not intended to seek financial assistance from ASEAN members, but to assure Timor-Leste's long-standing determination to join the organization that, as part of the process of fully reintegrating itself in the community of nations, as well as for the sake of its own security and stability. Apart from the expansion of opportunities for trade and economic cooperation with ASEAN members. Additionally, by joining ASEAN, Timor-Leste is determined to encourage and reinforce the development of democracy, human rights, the promotion of economic prosperity, social progress, and cultural interconnection, as well as to enable favorable conditions for open and genuine dialogue between ASEAN members to bring solutions to various common problems and to assure security, stability, and peaceful coexistence. So, Timor-Leste's national security and stability will be best served when it integrates itself successfully in ASEAN, but it is also in the interest of ASEAN, from the standpoint of security and stability, that Timor-Leste be part of that regional organization. Timor-Leste believes in the vital importance of a strong, independent, and united ASEAN for the security and prosperity of the region, and looks forward to contributing to the continued success of these family nations. Ladies and gentlemen, another effort within the policy of cooperation and good neighborhood is establishing a special relationship with Australia and New Zealand as part of Timor-Leste's effort to sustain a more balanced and proportional relationship with the neighboring countries. There are numerous successes as a result of establishing our special bilateral relationship with the two democratic countries in the South, but I will not mention them here since the time is limited. Nonetheless, I would rather select the most conspicuous one. Australia and Timor-Leste reached an agreement on permanent maritime boundaries in Timor-Leste. Since Timor-Leste share the same democratic value, share the democratic values and the rule of law, from the very beginning, Timor-Leste was convinced that Australia will come to the negotiation table to bring solution to all these agreements. For the first time, Timor-Leste initiated a compulsory reconciliation process under UNCLOS to resolve the stalemate with our friend and neighbor Australia concerning our dispute in the Timor Sea. Timor-Leste appealed to the international system and became the first nation to initiate an UNCLOS compulsory reconciliation process, because Timor-Leste's long journey to independence remains incomplete until we have defined the boundaries of our sea as well as our land. It is only in establishing our sovereign rights to our seas that we can complete our independence and secure the sustainable future of our nation. Timor-Leste is absolutely uncertain that any dispute resolution based on international law is a great triumph of the international system. So, we hope that our experiences on dispute resolution by using international law can serve as a reference for the resolution of complex regional maritime issues in South China Sea. We are confident that all countries can engage constructively to ensure the implementation of the international law of the sea for our shared security and prosperity. Hopefully, the experiences of the two countries, Timor-Leste and Australia, in settling disputes will contribute to international peace and in a global order in which armed conflict is prevented and in which together we work to eradicate extreme poverty and promote sustainable development. To end the first part of my remarks, I would like to emphasize that the process of state building and nation building had confronted many challenges but very rewarding experiences. Rising from the ashes of war, Timor-Leste enjoys first-hand experience in effective peace building as a precursor to nation building and development. Thus, Timor-Leste is ready to take its place in the community of nations. Ladies and gentlemen, Timor-Leste is a half island of Timor Island that it is located between two big neighbors, Indonesia and Australia. It is at the crossroads of Asia in the north and the Pacific in the south, of the Indian Ocean on the north coast and the Pacific Ocean in the south coast. It is between more heterogeneous government system with different level of economic development in the north and more democratic, homogeneous culture and developed countries in the south. Timor-Leste is inserted in a region where the security is very volatile, a region where almost 2/3 of the world population lives and poverty is still a predominant reality. It is in a region where there are 4 countries in possession of nuclear weapons, namely China, India, Pakistan, and North Korea. and the latter has been conducting frequent nuclear tests in the last few years. It is imperative to underline that almost all of them, albeit in a different scale, have gone through incidents of hostilities that involve armed confrontations in the past. Timor-Leste's geographical position dictates the characteristics and the nature of establishing its bilateral and multilateral relationship with nations around the world to pursue its foreign policy that encompasses the principle of collaboration, cooperation, and partnership rather than antagonism and confrontation. It is located in a region where economies are expanding at some of the fastest paces on the planet, a region of vibrant innovation and commerce that will generate many opportunities as well as challenges. Facing a wall of accelerated progress in science and technology that engender entirely a new reality of living standards and concurrently confronts with a great number of challenges, Timor-Leste has to adapt itself constantly with the advance and changes in the global system. From one hand, in these contemporary circumstances, we witness the enhancement of our human families' experiences in a profound connectivity with each other through communication technology. From another, we also witness the constant tension in South China Sea between the United States of America and China, the frequent tension in the Strait of Taiwan, disputes over maritime borders that involve a number of countries in the region, and also organization of transnational crimes such as narco traffic, human traffic, illegal fishing, money laundering, etc., as well as extreme poverty, ethnic and religious conflicts, large-scale immigration in search of a decent life, degradation of the environment, and global natural calamities, as well as the pandemic disease, COVID-19, that spread across geographic boundaries are some of the biggest challenges facing the world in general, and especially in ASEAN Pacific region where Timor-Leste is located. By perceiving today's world in the above manner, I can point out that there are both collective security threats and each individual country's internal security threats. Both collective and internal security threats will always have negative impacts on Timor-Leste in particular and on the countries in the region in general. Any outburst of army conflict between two or more countries will certainly affect the security and stability in the whole region, and any domestic instability or political turmoil and violence as well as religious conflict in a certain country will have negative effects on the security in the whole region. In Timor-Leste's perspective, to address the above mentioned collective security threats, diplomacy and political dialogue should always be the essential tool to reach peace and security in the region. In today's world, as modern and civilized nations, constructive and genuine dialogue should always be indispensable options in our efforts of searching for long and lasting solutions to any divergence or conflict that might take place between nations in the region. Dialogue should prevail over military options. Regarding the internal security threats, the political leaders of the respective countries in the region should find creative ways of finding solutions and taking preventive measures for any potentiality that might inflame religious, political, or social conflicts, most of which have root in poverty. By experience, Timor-Leste believes that poverty is the root cause of political and social unrest. Poverty could also be a fertile land for transitional crime organization. Any mishandling of these aspects will certainly endanger internal security and stability that is an essential condition for development at all levels, political, social, economic, and cultural. The consequences of any internal security threat will never confine itself within the borders of that individual country. The negative impact of any internal unrest will always resound in the region, especially in the immediate neighboring countries. Coordination and cooperation among countries in the region are paramount necessity to fight against pandemic diseases, terrorism, organization of transitional crime such as drug trafficking, human trafficking, illegal fishing, as well as promote collective efforts to tackle global warming. Finally, I want to emphasize Timor-Leste's commitment to multilateralism. Based on our experience, we are absolutely certain that any conduct in line with the principle of multilateralism is the best way to find enduring solutions for global problems and challenges that confront us in the international community through peaceful means such as constructive, open, and frank dialogue. We constantly hear the statement on global problems such as global financial crisis, global terrorism, global warming, global pandemics. This is a clear proof that actually we are living in the same boat. Any problem is a collective problem of the humanity as a whole, and we need to collectively bring solutions to our problems through multilateral cooperation. The foreign policy of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste is essentially characterized by cooperation ties, both bilaterally and multilaterally, with all the countries around the world based on the principles of mutual respect, diversity, friendly interconnection, fraternity, solidarity, and interdependence. Timor-Leste has proved its ability to establish friendship ties, partnership, and cooperation, both in bilateral and multilateral level, based on diversity and mutual respect for the establishment of a better world, a world of peace and harmony, a world of well-being for all the humanity. Timor-Leste advocates the principles of interdependencies of states and mutual respect in the relationship of nations, in which cooperation prevails over competition and collaboration prevails over confrontation. Based on the principles of mutual respect, interdependency, good neighborhood, and harmony, Timor-Leste rejects all forms of colonialism and of oppressions. Our Constitution stipulates that Timor-Leste will always have peaceful and friendly relations with all countries in the world. Since independence, we have created strong bonds of friendship between our people and people from around the world. Timor-Leste is particularly pleased to contribute to the pursuit of peace in our region of Asia and Pacific. Let us all work together for a more peaceful future for everyone. I thank you. So I give back to you, Karim. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Minister. So we'll open up for questions now, and please feel free to post any you have using the chat function. And just as you do that, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of members of the Diplomatic Corps on the line there. We have Philip Hewitt, the New Zealand ambassador to Timor-Leste, and also Peter Roberts, the Australian ambassador to Timor-Leste. And here in New Zealand, we have Mr. Armindo Simões from the Embassy of Timor-Leste in Wellington. So great to have you present.
My pleasure, thanks. Hello, ambassadors.
Right, so feel free to put questions through. I might make a start, and my one is about the links, the tourism links between New Zealand and Timor-Leste. Many New Zealanders think about Bali and they travel there, and Dili is only a short distance away. And when I think of Timor-Leste and The Guardian talking about Aturo Island and the most biodiverse waters in the world, I wonder how we can get Timor-Leste on the map, more New Zealanders travelling to experience Timor-Leste.
Oh, for tourism promotion, it's a big challenge for Timor-Leste. For now, I mean, if you come to Timor-Leste, I mean, you will enjoy all the nature that we have a similar that New Zealand has. But the problem is regarding the promotion, the put Timor-Leste in the map, the obstacle that we are facing right now is the price of the ticket. The price of the ticket of the airline is so expensive. So that's one of the big challenges that we have to solve. So now, we start to have ASEAN agreement. We start with Australia. We already have a resolution in the Council of Ministers, and we're waiting for the approval from the National Parliament. So, and also we will start to have agreement with the other countries. So by then, maybe we can reduce the price of the air ticket. Because I met so many people, they always complain. They've been to all the Southeast Asian countries, except Timor-Leste. When they want to buy a ticket, it's so expensive and they cannot go. They cannot come here. So that's one of the challenges that I recognize. It's quite a problem for us to promote the tourism of Timor-Leste. So we can learn so much from New Zealand. New Zealand, the one of the income from the state taxes is from tourism, right?
Thank you. And so anyone feel free to put forward a question if you have one, or unmute as well. You're welcome to put forward a question. Just while we're waiting there, I wonder, you're a graduate of Victoria University. What did you take away from the New Zealand education? What was the thing that stood out for you?
The good governance. The good governance that I learned a lot from New Zealand. I mean, New Zealand is one of the best examples that I'm very proud that I had a chance to go there and learn of some of your systems. So I'm very grateful. And once again, thanks to New Zealand government for the scholarship.
Excellent. And the former Prime Minister, Dr. Rui, is also a graduate of Otago University. So it's great to see many people in the leadership of Timor-Leste having been through the New Zealand education system.
Yeah, I had a small discussion with the ambassador the other day. He said that they made a good selection during the scholarship selections. That's why.
Excellent. Okay, so I don't see any questions having come through there, so we might just give it a little bit longer. Another question for you. Timor-Leste has membership of CPLP, Community of Portuguese-speaking countries, and I wonder, what opportunities there are to kind of position Timor-Leste as a hub, connecting Timor-Leste, a country of Southeast Asia, to South America, Brazil, to Africa, through Angola and the other Portuguese-speaking countries there. I wonder what kind of opportunities do you see during your time ahead as Foreign Minister?
Yeah, one of the opportunity, like Timor-Leste can promote cultural ties among the ASEAN. There's the two organizations that are very different, and then TPLP, it's not only like a regional organization, but it's a regional organization. So, and also Timor-Leste can help to promote some of trade cooperation with the CPLP countries, especially those in the Africa continent. So, because Timor-Leste has special ties, we can become a bridge for other countries, especially Southeast Asian countries, to establish the trade relation or trade cooperation with the CPLP countries.
Thank you. And we have a question here from Vola. She says, as a young independent country, what do you think is the biggest challenge Timor-Leste is facing, which needs to be addressed urgently?
Eradicate the poverty. We have, also because of poverty, we have a very high number of malnutrition. So that is the biggest problem and challenges that we're facing as a new country in the process of the state and the nation building. So we have to eradicate the poverty is our main objective.
Thank you. And you talked a bit before about ASEAN and the importance there. I wonder about other organisations. I recall that there was some interest for Timor-Leste becoming an observer of the Pacific Development Forum. I'm not sure if that has progressed. Is that an area wanting more engagement with the Pacific?
I think that we already observed for some time. Since we restore our independence, we already observed the Pacific Forum until today.
Okay. Very good. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions there. So I'll...
They all enjoy my story.
Yes,
story
I think you probably answered everything.
I thought it was clear.
Minister Magno, many thanks for your address this evening. The newest state, thank you. The newest state of the 21st century, Timor-Leste has made much progress in the 18 years since the restoration of independence. It's been really fantastic to hear from you, and I look forward to the relationship between New Zealand and Timor-Leste being further strengthened during your time as Minister. As someone who has previously visited Dili and experienced the warmth of the people and the climate, I look forward to visiting again in the future.
Yeah, so, please come back, then I want to see you in person.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, and I say ngā mihi nui kia koe. We thank you and we wish you the best. Tēnā tātou katoa, kia ora.
Kia ora, thank you. Thank you, Karim.
Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
See you.